um, yeah, so we'll go ahead and get started. So again, welcome to this week's edition of Boundaries Webinar Wednesdays. My name is Shei, and I'll be taking you through this. So today we're going to be talking about using the KeyShot Toon shader for technical illustrations. And so basically sort of the agenda that we're going to have is we are going to first do an introduction as to boundary systems and who we are. And then next, I'll talk about the KeyShot Toon shader, and then I'll dive into a demonstration where I'll actually show you, how it works, and then we'll get into a Q&A at the end, right? All right. So just a super quick, a couple of intro slides. Just this is a little bit of intro about me. Been with Boundary Systems now for a little over 7 years. I have a lot of experience with PTC products and Creo products. The one thing that's not also on there as well is I've been a technical expert when it comes to KeyShot with Boundary Systems now for I would say about 4 to 5 years, and so it's one of the products that I absolutely love using. And just a little bit about us. So we are a product development company, Boundary Systems, based out of Cleveland, Ohio, and really we leverage many of our software partners like PTC, like Etrage, and others as well. And really the goal is to provide as many of these capabilities, CAD data management or simulation or product development, or rendering in this case, to as many of our customers as possible by using best-in-class software by our partners. I guess maybe sort of the last brag slide. There's what's it called? We've won a whole bunch of awards for our work, and when it comes to the partners that we work with, this is just a small sampling of some of the partners and the solutions that we offer. All right. So diving into the webinar content in terms of using the KeyShot Toon shader. First off, I guess I sort of wanted to tell a story from start to finish. First off, for a lot of users that are those that have a CAD background, or you're designing your model in CAD and then you're taking it into to get it rendered. Generally, the regular CAD model in whatever software you're using, whether it's Creo in my case here, or sometimes it could be SolidWorks or whatever else it is. Generally, the graphics for showing like parts and things, it's generally going to look somewhat cartoonish, right, in color, right? So you're going to have for example, like the image up on screen here, okay, you could clearly tell there are different components because you could clearly see where the springs are, and you could clearly see where some of the plates are, and some plates are gray, some plates are blue, some plates are purple, but really this almost looks like a random cartoon, and that's really all you get with it, right? So yes, you can convey some product knowledge with it, but it's very limited, right? And in a lot of cases, this is where designers stop, right? You create your CAD model, give it a cartoonish color, and then you save it, and then that's what you use to convey your ideas and to demonstrate your product, right? Now, you want to go a step further from that, right? You can go ahead and create rendered images, right? Like we see on here. So in this case, this is instead of just taking those cartoonish images, now we're applying actual materials to your products, right? We're saying, hey, this is going to be chrome, this is glass, this is steel, this is brass, and all of a sudden it gives your product way more realism than just, again, a cartoonish color, right? All of a sudden now you have some lighting, right, that shows, okay, areas where you have fillets and rounds that are going to have a little bit of a highlight to them and things like that, right? And so again, this is something that you could take and drop on a product catalog page or something like that, or just have in a PowerPoint to again help convey the idea of your product to any of your stakeholders, right? And then specifically what we'll be focused on today is going to be the Toon shader aspect of it, right? So again, the prior image over here with just the fully rendered image with all the materials in there. Yes, this is something that KeyShot can do, and this is something that we've done. We've done many webinars on. And you could reference our Boundary Systems YouTube channel for any information on that. But specifically when it comes to technical illustrations, there's the ability to create that using the Toon shader material inside of KeyShot, right? And what that will do is, sort of something like this over here, where, again, it sort of hides sort of the contents or the guts of this, right? But again, you could sort of create very quickly and very easily some, technical illustrations, or art that you can use in, for example, pattern drawings, or even if it's just, something like you want to take something, an image like this in a product, demonstration, right, to sort of illustrate, where your product goes, or I guess what the concept is, without having to show all the fancy glory of a full rendering, or without having to show a cartoonish model, right? But you still want to clearly demonstrate, the intent behind your product. That's something you can do very easily with the KeyShot Toon shader material, right? And in this case, not only can you do in this example here, we have the entire assembly fully rendered out like this, but this is something that's incredibly flexible. So you can always combine, either or as well, right? So in this example here, you could combine, fully rendered image with, I guess partially rendered with, in this case, partially rendered as a Toon material, right? So again, you could sort of, give an idea of some context between, for example, in this case, the illustrated models, and you could sort of show how that fits, in the context of, something else, right? And so the Toon shader is, again, you could not only can use it for, illustrated models, but this is something where, if you wanted to create a very quick, image or PDF of a pattern drawing, for example, right? This is something that's very quick, very easy. You have your existing CAD model of your engineering IP. You want to, leverage that to create your pattern drawing. Again, within 2 to 3 minutes with a Toon shader material, you can create something like this and just pass it on to your IP team, right? And so this is something that's incredibly flexible in how you can use it to illustrate and show your product designs, right? So at this point, I'll pause right here and I'll show a super quick demonstration of how this works inside of KeyShot. So I'll pause a quick second here while I switch screens and load up KeyShot. So. All right. All right. So we'll go ahead and turn on the screen here. Yep. All right. Yep. So my screen is on right now. So right now I have KeyShot open, right? So in this case, it's completely blank with no no models, currently open, right? And what I will actually do is, instead of starting from KeyShot, I will start right here within Creo Parametric, right? So in this case, we have a Creo model, right? And this is a model of I think it's a clutch assembly, right? With some brakes, with some discs in the middle over here, right? You can clearly see those, and in this case over here, some springs as well, right? And you'll sort of notice in this case in Creo, there's a goal to try and make this a little bit more realistic. So you'll notice this housing here, or this casing, right, is shown up here as transparent, right? Which again, it gets the job done a little bit, right? But again, it still sort of shows up as very cartoonish, sort of graphics, right? Now, in order to get this in the KeyShot, this is one of the beautiful things about KeyShot and the plugin they have with not only Creo but almost any other CAD package as well. It's just as simple as tapping, the render button, right? And then KeyShot and then the plugin just goes ahead and exports, everything in here from Creo into KeyShot, right? So you could sort of see, when I switch to the KeyShot window, this already says, hey, I'm grabbing all those parts, right? And I'm going to be, pulling them into KeyShot, right? Now, just as an FYI, if you have, in this case, Creo Parametric, that's one way to import the model in. The other thing you can also do as well is KeyShot has an extensive library of file formats that you can import from. Actually, I should have used import file, not open file. So if I go to import, all right. So in terms of the file formats, it's everything from Alias to Inventor to Creo, Pro Model, SketchUp, Solid Edge, SolidWorks, Parasolid, graphics, step files as well. Really, the thought process is if there's any file that you have that's a 3D model, odds are you can get it into KeyShot, right? And so again, if you don't have the plugin like in Creo, like I showed, again, you can just select any part file you have, select it in here, and you can drop it into KeyShot, right? So in this case here, what we have is, our assembly, and one of the things we can go ahead and do is we could start to apply some, some realistic materials to this, right? So for example, I could go ahead and maybe I'll go to my metallic materials and say, maybe this is going to be, an aluminum housing or something, right? And so again, you just drag and drop, and you could sort of see with the KeyShot interactive functionality how it immediately starts to render and show up, that material as aluminum, right? Again, we could also, for example, start to copy and paste this out to other parts very easily, right? Just by some very quick hotkeys, right? And so in this case, that's one thing we can do here. But then when it comes to the Toon materials, right? So if you want to go ahead and illustrate the model a little bit, right? That's a subset of materials that you could use, in very different ways, right? So, for example, if I take, what's it called? Yeah. So if I take an outline over here, right? So this is one where I can apply, a Toon outline material to this model right here, right? And you'll notice, immediately that, what I now get is sort of a line art sort of illustration of, this particular part, right? This is something that's incredibly quick and easy and very flexible in how you use it, right? This is something that you can show that's illustrated either, just as is, or I could also, let's see here, we'll center this. Maybe we'll hide this temporarily, and maybe, for example, we want to take, this assembly over here, this sub-assembly here of the springs, right? And we want to go ahead and illustrate that as well. So we'll go ahead and find where that is in my product structure, and maybe I want to do, a shaded, let's say a shaded red, Toon or something, and this is something where you could easily do that, and again, drag and drop it on your model structure instead of just an individual part, and that will, select the entire, for example, sub-assembly or assembly, and you can apply that to this, right? And so you could sort of see very quickly and easily, you can start to illustrate and sort of get create a detailed picture of what your model is going to look like, right? And this is something you can sort of, take render out as an image, right? Create a PowerPoint of, and then start to demonstrate to customers, for example, or to convey to any technical stakeholders, hey, hey, here are these springs, and here's what they do, and here's this part, and here's what it does, and things like that, right? And so really that's sort of the goal of the KeyShot Toon shader material, right? Now this is something that you can apply individually, right, to different components like this, or this is something that you can apply for example, to the entire assembly, right? So again, this is something I could just easily grab and say, I want to illustrate the entire assembly all at once, in a Toon sort of material, right? This is something I can, yeah, you can do very easily just like that, right? And now this is, again, something you could just take, save out as a pattern drawing or image and then just render that out, right? The other thing as well is that the KeyShot Toon library it comes predefined with a whole bunch of different materials that you can select already, right? Everything from filled materials like this to outlines to shaded ones as well, right? And the way KeyShot works, it's also very flexible in how you use it as well. So this is something where, in this example here, it's blue, right? I can always go ahead and modify the colors and tweak it to whatever I want it to be, right? So say, for example, I want the contour color to be, I don't know, brown, for example. Yeah, that's something I can do, right? I could also modify the shading color as well, right? So again, this is something where if you don't like the original color, you can always tweak it to whatever you want, but this is a very quick, easy, and flexible way to start to create illustrations of your models, right? Very easily, right? Another thing you can also do in this case is you can also combine sort of the fully rendered model plus the Toon image as well. So what I'll do in this case, for example, is I will use in KeyShot, there's this super handy material template button, which basically allows me to say apply this to scene to basically apply a predefined set of materials to the entire assembly all at once, right? So in this case, I've already told the model told KeyShot that, hey, for all the components that don't have materials, hey, I'll pre-assign all those materials for it, right? And you'll notice, everything then comes in with materials, right? But for whatever else I've already predefined, for example, with the Toon material, it'll keep those, right? And so again, very quickly and easily, I can go from, raw CAD model to fully rendered image with a Toon material in less than 10 or 15 minutes, right? And this is something that, again, renders very quickly. As you can see, the image starts to get very refined and crisp and sharp. And you can go ahead and, for example, save a screenshot of this right now, right? And so, yeah, so that sort of follows the entire, process from start to finish when it comes to, creating those technical illustrations in here inside of KeyShot, right? So I'll pause this right here. I will go back and switch screens and see. Okay. Yep. All right. So that is it for the illustration, or I guess the demonstration portion of it here. And so again, again, everything I did, in the case of these images here, you could sort of see it's incredibly simple as just applying the materials and or applying some different Toon shaders, to give your model a very different, very realistic feel to it, right? And so at this point, I we'll pause here and we'll give some time for some questions and answers. And so, what questions do you have currently that you have about the Toon shader material? Yep. Yep, I don't believe I see any questions popping up. See, which, yeah, I mean, again, this is something that it's, very, clear and easy to sort of to understand, and you could sort of see from the quality of the images that are being created, and you can sort of understand the immediate benefit to how you can use it, to illustrate your products. So I guess since there are no questions coming in, I'll say that's going to be the end of the webinar. You could, my contact information is up on the screen. You can contact us with any questions you have. You can also visit our YouTube channel as well. And I will say this is, at least maybe the fourth or fifth webinar that we've done on KeyShot. And so again, we're sort of starting to grow a library of content regarding KeyShot up there. So you can always visit our YouTube channel and see, what other webinars we've done, and you can always reach out for tips or questions regarding how to use KeyShot or things like that, or what capabilities it has as well. So thanks a lot. This is Shaish Mbore, and I think this will be the end of the webinar. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you next week on a future webinar. Thanks. Bye.